Okay. So Stephanie Jones and Jen Abel are working together, and Jen Abel is the one who is assigned to the Wayfarer, Justin Baldoni parties, right? That she is their direct publicist under Jones Works, right? Jen Abel decides she no longer wants to work with Stephanie Jones and leaves Jones Works. And Stephanie Jones says, "That's my phone. The company pays for your phone. Hand it over." Now, somehow, Stephanie Jones hacks into Jen Abel's iCloud and is monitoring ongoing conversations between Jen Abel and the Wayfarer parties and what is going on with the crisis PR caused by Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds. Stephanie Jones is monitoring that. Somehow, Blake Lively finds out that Stephanie Jones has this information. What Blake Lively does is she takes one of her corporations that her and Ryan Reynolds seem to be the chief officers of, maybe managing members of. I haven't looked at the corporate filings. I don't think everything is available online. So there's some question marks as to like, who's in charge over here at Vanzan, right? But it does seem to be just an alter ego, a shell corporation that they use to run nefarious business out of, based on what we're seeing from Vanzan. So, Vanzan, a completely unrelated company, has no business interest with Wayfair parties, has no connection to Jen Abel, brings a lawsuit, a contract lawsuit against John and Jane Doe's, meaning they are claiming, hey, there's a contract out there, but we don't know who that contract is with. So we should be allowed to bring this case. And what you do when you bring cases against John and Jane Doe's is as you litigate, you either fill in the names of the John and Jane Doe's or they drop off, meaning I think this person might be married. He's married to Jane Doe. We find out later her name is, whatever, right? We fill in the name. Oh, he wasn't married. We're going to drop off that Jane Doe. That's how that works. So before a complaint, or before the complaint is answered, before a judge is assigned to the Vanzan case, before discovery opens, they engage in discovery out of that lawsuit, which in itself is a huge red flag. The complaint itself, red flag. Engaging in discovery before an answer, also a red flag. And what they do is they issue a subpoena. When you issue a subpoena, you just hand it to the court clerk stamps it, nobody's looking at it, and you send it off. So they send this subpoena to Stephanie Jones. Stephanie Jones had a obligation, contractually, probably between Jen Abel and her, but also between Wayfarer parties and Jones Works, to move to quash. She does not do that. She just hands over every single bit of private information that Jen Abel has on that phone to Blake Lively. And what they do is they dismiss the Jane Doe lawsuit. They dismiss the Vanzan lawsuit. And we have not seen Vanzan as a party in any of these other proceedings, right? So one, bringing claims by a party that doesn't have causes of action against any of these people violates Rule 11. Bringing an action that you know you are not going to pursue violates Rule 11. Bringing an action that is solely for the purpose of obtaining information that was potentially illegally wiretapped also pretty well violates the harassment provision of Rule 11. There are so many things along the way that violate Rule 11 sanctions. And so Rule 12, which is the dismissal rule, right? Here's the reasons you can't bring this case under the law. Before we get to Rule 12, we have to get to Rule 11. Does it pass this bar? And the Vanzan lawsuit very clearly did not pass that bar. It was brought for the sake of harassment. It was brought for the sake of obtaining information that Vanzan was not entitled to. And then Vanzan turned around and gave that information to its officers, Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds. So you've got some good facts here, just based on what I'm seeing, to pierce the corporate veil and say that Vanzan is actually just Blake Lively under a different name. It's an alter ego of Blake Lively. It's an alter ego of Ryan Reynolds. And we should hold them personally liable for whatever was done through Vanzan. Now, the Wayfarer parties have claims against Stephanie Jones, Jen Abel has claims against Vanzan because that was Jen Abel's private information that Blake Lively decided she wanted to disregard Jen Abel's privacy. Stephanie Jones decided she wanted to disregard Jen Abel's privacy. And the right to privacy is a feminist issue, just so we're all clear on that. They decided they wanted to trample all over Jen Abel's right to privacy rights to obtain information through a lawsuit that was unethical, never should have been brought, through a party that is not related to these proceedings. And that's why we're all saying, whoa, 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 whoa. No. But these are Jen Abel's claims to bring against Vanzan because she is the one who was harmed by the sham lawsuit that Vanzan, who's really Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively, brought. I hope that clears it up.